All right, I skipped some, but this is six. It's just a long chapter. If conditions at the site do not satisfy the no further action criteria of the Rule 62, 780, 680 for administration, natural tuition and monitoring criteria with the Rule 62, 780, 690 within the time frame specified in Table A, located within the end of the Rule 62, 780, 900 for administration code, the cleanup ad agreement, documentation, personal response to site rehabilitation should or submit to the department for the remedial electronic paper copy of the remedial action plan. The remedial action plan should be prepared in pursuant to the rules should contain the all information required by the hearing. The objective of the real active remediation shall be met with the applicable non-further criteria of the Rule 62, 780, 068, the new natural tuition monitoring criteria of the Rule 62, 780, 690 of the remedial action plan should provide with the design, address, complaint up with the contaminated soil, sediment, groundwater, surface water as a result of discharge for which the person responsible for site rehabilitation conduct the site rehabilitation addition will rehabilitation action plan address the contamination mitigated to any of the medium bound under if the source property, the location with contamination and emanation, the point of the compliance with the merit may be temporarily extended beyond the proper boundary with the appropriate monitoring. If such extension is needed to address the current condition of the plumb provided by the human health, public safety, environmental, or particularly if the point of the compliance is proposed to temporarily extend beyond the property boundary, it intended to be extended further within the lateral extent of the plume of the time of the execution of the cleanup agreement documentation, if known, the lateral extension of the plume is defined by the time of the approved site approval prior to the department authorizing temporary extension of the point of the compliance beyond the property boundary. The person responsible for site rehabilitation should notice the opportunity to comment the pursuant subsection 62, 780, 223 Foreign Administration Codes. Prior to performing any pilot site with the time frame specified in the Table A, the computer, the cleanup agreement documentation, the person responsible for site rehabilitation shall submit the department the reviewed electronic paper, the copy of the pilot study work plan, determine the need for the applicable department to permit the authorization for the example underground injection, control natural nutrient national pollution discharge elimination system in the air emissions to ensure the human health and environmental adequate protected. The department shall provide a person with the right responsible for site rehabilitation written approval of pilot study work plan, notify the person responsible for the site rehabilitation writing stating the reason for the pilot study work plan that does not contain the information adequate to support the conclusion of the pilot study board will comply with the applicable requirements subsection 62, 780, 702 Florida Administration Codes. The remedial action plan included all applicable information required with the subsection 62, 780, 302 summarize the site assessment report with convolution in addition with the data obtained with this instance submitted with the department if the groundwater contamination is present includes the representative with the groundwater sampling analysis for the department number of the monitoring wells adequate to determine the highest concentration of contaminations, verify the horizontal and vertical extent of the plume provided with the design data with the remedial action plan with the latest analytical data with the retained with the greater 270 day of the prior submittal with the remedial action plan with the conformity round sampling and analysis is required if the results from the conformity round of the sample can contradict the early result. The applicable site assessment tasks were specified in Rule 62, 780, 600 Full Administration Code performed to evaluate the current site such conditions. They explain the rationale for the activity recommendation method of selected, which shall include the minimum of the result with any of the pilot study of the bench tests, result of the evaluation of remedial alternatives, including source removal discussion with the remedial alternatives considered the words rejected based on the following criteria: long-term, short-term human health, environmental effects, and permanent, which may be include ease the construction site assessment, necessity of permits, operation maintenance requirements, reliability, feasible, estimated time required for the activity, clean up the cost effectiveness, installation, operated maintenance work compared with the other sites and remediation alternatives that include the evaluation of known product the breakdown contamination by the sub byproducts resulting in the bioremediation, the oxidation, and other natural processes as possible. After the summary of the design for controlling the detail of the operating details of the equipment to be used during the activity remediation, including applicability in the disposition of fluents and the expected concentration of contaminants in affected influent. 3 methods of air emission to the treatment. The expected quantity in pounds per day with the contamination discharge in the air. The results on all of the on-site remediation sites. The separate air permit will not be required to hold air emissions from all the on-site remediation equipment that does not exceed 5.5 pounds per day. Any of the site hazards to air pollution 13.7 pounds per day with the total hazards to air pollution from on-site remediation equipment located at the facility of the Title 5 source pursuant to Chapter 62 through 13 for administrative codes. A separate permit pursuant to the chapter may be required. The rates of application concentration and pseudo-chemical biological enhancement technology implemented in the schedule performance monitoring of the remediation system. The groundwater contamination in the system. The provide federal for remedial system. They included the groundwater recovery. They included the list of the contamination monitoring for the recovered wells. Effluent with the treatment system based on the type of the treatment employed with the disposition. Effluent with the designation recovered wells will be sampled to propose with the sample of frequency contamination that does not exceed the background concentration applicable control target level. Sample to recover the wells with the 2 consecutive sampling with a sample frequency not less than quarterly may be excluded. Subsequent monitoring of the extent events. 2. Include the list of contamination and monitor the designation representative monitoring wells and the applicable source of the water boundaries to be sampled. The proposal with the sample frequency adequate monitoring the cleanup of the progressive during the active remediation. The description of the methodology proposed to evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of the remediation site of the designated well shall be included with at least one of the well located down gradient edge of the plumb of the one well is area of the maximum groundwater contamination directly adjacent to the area of the highest groundwater contamination accessible for the sample for under the instruction for the cleaning accepted with greater than 2 years. Wells should be sampled quarterly first year, semi-annually thereafter. The cleanups accepted for the last 2 years. The wells shall be sampled quarterly and alternatively frequency. Proposed and approved the remedial actual plan, including list contamination prepared with the designation representative of the currently and previously contaminated monitoring wells should be sampled once a year during the activity remediation to order the redefined plumb and fully evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of the remediation system. Including the designation of the representative number of the monitoring wells, piezometer, the FAC well, staff gauge, language, locations of collecting water level data of the time groundwater samples are collected, provide with the details any proposed treatment of disposition contaminated soil and sediment in contaminated soils exist for the site with the practice of remediation does not include the treatment and removal of each of the soil. The remedial action shall include the proposal to the site and as an institutional control, both institutional engineering controls pursuant to subsection 62.780, 682, 62.780, 683, unless the other one leachability based soil the cleanup target levels exceed with the site expected to meet the criteria of the natural attenuation monitoring it after the effective remediation has been implemented. For other requirements to be included with the remedial action plan, if applicable, include the following: vacuum extraction systems shall be equipped with the means of the air emission treatment of at least first 30 days. System of the operation air emission treatment is discontinued after the first 30 days. System operation the total air emission for all the on-site remediation equipment does not exceed 5.5 pounds per day for a single hazardous air pollution, 13.7 pounds per day of the total hazardous air pollution. Bioventing system shall be equipped with the meanings of air emission and treatment unless the remedial action plan designed the base of respiration rate, the optimum airflow with the result of soil remediation, properly bioremediation for the minimal violization contamination. The objectives should be confirmed emission sample during start of the institute. The air sparging system shall be designed and operated in conjunction with the emission of the treatment system. Unless the remedial action is based on disparaging rates of optimum airflow, minimum violation, contamination, that its objects shall be conformed with the emission sample during startup. If the vacuum extraction is used, the vacuum extraction system shall operate at airflow at least 50% greater than aspiring airflow. The vacuum extraction system shall be provided with the emissions of the control was described in 62.780, 704.8 Florida Administration Codes. Biosparing system shall be equipped with the means of the air emission control other than remedial action plan designed based on the optimum air sparing rates of promoted biological activities with minimal violation, contamination. The objective shall be confirmed with the emission sample during startup. Multiple phase extraction should be equipped with the means of the air emission treatment of the last first 30 days of the first system. The air emission treatment should be discontinued after the first 30 days. System operation total the air emissions from the on-site remediation equipment does not exceed 5.5 pounds of any of the hazardous air pollution or 13.7 pounds per day of the total hazardous air pollution. The sampling schedule should be specified monitoring vacuum extraction systems in suit of sparging, bioremediation, other sites means of the remediation, soil, groundwater. The remedial action may propose the active remediation valve with the natural attenuation for the monitoring with the active remediation would consist of soil remediation, short-term, intermittent groundwater remediation, other remedial enhancement combination with the discontinuation of the active remediation may be appropriate at any time depending on the site-specific characteristics. Condition of the remedial action plan shall be included. The discussion of the active remediation will discuss, and the person responsible for site rehabilitation choose the utilized provision of the subsection natural attention of the monitoring shall be performed pursuant to section 62.780, 698 Florida Administration Code. The natural attenuation monitoring criteria with the rule 62.780, 0 having ever been met. The remedial action plan may be perfectly new innovative technology approach with the new further action criteria with the Rule 62, 780, 68, 0, Florida Administration Code, Natural Attention Monitoring Criteria 68, 62, 780, 690. For their remedial action shall include the demonstration that the purpose of the technology appropriate to the meets of the criteria of subsection 62, 780, 700, 1 through 5. The technology's approach may include low cost enhancement of natural attention, natural attution. Monitoring shall be suspended during the implementation and enhancement pursuant to the subsection 62, 780, 699 Florida Administrative Codes. The Department shall provide person responsible state rehabilitation with a remedial action plan approval order approving the remedial action plan. Notify the person responsible for site rehabilitation writing the stating the reason for the remedial action plan does not contain the information adequate to support the conclusion activity remediation and objects will comply with the applicable documentation applicable requirements of Rule 62, 780, 700 Florida Administration Codes. The reason why the proposal of the recommendation included the remedial action plan is not supported by the applicable criteria the remedial action plan is incomplete in respect of insufficient to satisfy objectives of subsection 62, 780, 703. The Department shall inform the person responsible site rehabilitation pursuant to 62, 780, 700, 7B. But the person responsible site rehabilitation shall submit the Department for the review of the electronic paper with the copy of the remedial action plan with the addendum with the address for the efficiency within 60 days after the notice. 9. Prior implementation of the remedial action plan, the person responsible for the site rehabilitation should obtain applicable department permits the authorization required for the site rehabilitation activities. For example, to separate permits with underground injection control, national pollutant discharge elimination system, air emission. They have not included remedial action. Approval of the person responsible for site rehabilitation advises that the federal and local laws and the regulations may apply with the activities. 10. With the time of the frame specified in the Table A with the cleanup agreement documentation, electronic paper, the copy, and the engineering drawings as built drawings, insulated mechanical remediation, associated drawings, slurry, wall permeable, reactive barrier shall be submitted to the person responsible for site rehabilitation. The Department engineering drawings should include the construction, equipment, design specifications installed with any of after the active remediation operation parameters different than those approved remedial action plan. A summary of the system startup of activity shall be attached with the engineering drawing for other types of remedial action, including episodic treatment for the mobile equipment injection with the chemical biological remediation project. If there's contaminated soil excavation, revised site figures should be provided with the indicated placement of the remediation well, injection wells, or boundaries of excavation. 11. When the time frame specified in Table A with the cleanup agreement documentation, operation of the active remediation system shall be initiated unless other exercise responsible diligence applicable permits required pursuant to section 62, 780, 709 have not been obtained. The following shall be obtained: determined in the active remediation, all the specified frequency turnaround. Same time as applicable unless otherwise provided with approval of the remedial action plan. Water level documentation also designed with the well peaks of staff gauge location of entering each time the monitoring wells, recover the wells, or sample the water level measure should be made within 24 hours. The water level data of the operational parameters remaining unchanged for the person responsible for site rehabilitation may propose pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 714B for the administration code. The requirements being made modified and discounted. The total volume of the free product recovered in thickness horizontal extent with the free product during the reporting period until the free product is completed. C. The total volume of the groundwater recovered for each of the during each of the month operating period of the first year of the quarterly. Therefore, after the alternative frequency proposed with the improved remedial action plan. The concentration applicable contaminations. Based on analysis performed of the fluent with the groundwater treatment system daily for the first 3 days of the 24-hour turnaround analytical result, the sample is collected with the first 3 days, weekly with the next 3 weeks, monthly with the next 2 months, and quarterly with the next 2 years, semi-annually throughout the after alternative frequently proposed the proof of the remedial action concentration applicable to contamination based on all analysis performed untreated with groundwater selected with an individual recovery proposed the proof of the remedial action plan weekly for the first month, third monthly for the next 2 months, and quarterly for the next 2 years, semi-annually thereafter, and alternatively frequency proposed the approved remedial action plan sample the groundwater for the individual multiple phase extraction wells to evaluate the performance of the recovery treatment shall be performed and as necessary to approve the remedial action plan analytical data for the all monitoring sampled during the remediation year of the monitoring the rehabilitation progress during the activity remediation, including the applicable information required in subsection 6787 302 for the Florida Administration Code. Operational parameters in suit of the system, which include the measurement of biological, chemical, physical indicators that verify the radius of the influence of the representative monitoring location weekly of the first month, monthly for the next 2 months, quarterly for the first 2 years, similarly after their annual thereafter to demonstrate the provided the department their operational parameters remaining unchanged with the person responsible for site rehabilitation and proposed pursuant to chapter paragraph 62, 780, 714b. Monitoring may be modified and discontinued. Or operational parameters of the bioremediation system, including measurement of dissolved oxygen, representative monitoring the location rate of the biological, chemical, nutrient enhancement additions to any other indicator of biological activity, proposed approved the remedial action program weekly for the first month, monthly for the 2 months, quarterly for the thereafter, the alternate frequency proposed and approved remedial action plan demonstrated provided with the department. The operational parameters remained unchanged. The person responsible for site rehabilitation may propose the paragraph 62, 780, 714b Florida Administrative Code for the monitoring be modified and discontinued. Concentration of recovered vapor, the vacuum extraction system, post-treatment, the air emission with the emission provided with the weekly for the first month, monthly for the next 2 months, quarterly for thereafter. Applicably, air quality standards are not exceeded for the two consecutive quarter, monthly or quarterly sampling events. The person responsible for site responsibility may submit the department for the review of the proposal. Different sampling frequency, activity of carbon off the grassman tree with additional sampling of events may be performed based on the estimated time breakthrough for the files. One concentration recovered vapor that individual wells is determined using the organic vapor they analyze for the flame, the insulation detector, other applicable field detection devices in order to optimize airflow. The contamination recovery to the influation of the effluent sample shall be conducted using appropriate air sample. The protocol shall be analyzed for the contamination used appropriate analytical method reference and appropriate the remedial action plan presented. The system open operation time for treatment and efficiency with operating the treatment system should include the dates wherein the site is visible with the system when we're operating in the upon approval at the site and upon the department of the site, result with the analyst soil of the samples taken to verify the applicable non further action required to the Rule 62, 780, 680 for administration code, the applicable natural intrusion monitoring criteria Rule 62, 780, 690 have been based on the following, which both field screen laboratory results the most sensitive method of the constitute being analyzed for the vacuum extraction system indicated the non-detectable concentration contamination recovered vapors. 2. When screening the bioventing parameters indicate that the bioventing is complete and alternative soils of cleaning target levels established pursuant to the Rule 62, 780, 650 Florida Administration Codes been set some performance of monitoring use of the applicable and analytical methods of the appropriate methods of appropriate indicated the alternative soils of cleaning target levels have been achieved during the implementation of the remedial action plan with the time frame specified in Table A of the cleanup agreement documentation. Person responsible for site rehabilitation so from the department for the review in electronic paper the copy of the status report and remedial action. The remedial action site status report shall contain the following applicable all summary of the data requested in Chapter 62, 780, 711A through K. All applicable information required by the subsection 62, 783, 102 Florida Administration Code. The summary of the estimated mass contamination required with all phases and including free product discovered in dissolved vapor and phases of the on-site remediation equipment. One or more scaled sites and maps should be the groundwater flow, the direction of the current degree and extent of the contamination, conclusion, the effectiveness, the activity, recommendations specified here for the coverage of the status report. Recommendations discontinue operation of the treatment system, modify the site rehabilitation. 13. Influent concentration of the air concentration exceeds the approved remedial action plan. Plume of the mitigation occur during the remediation startup of the during operation treatment system. Corrective action should be taken by the department. Should be notified the person responsible for the system or person responsible for site rehabilitation within the 7 days of the condition may be represented imminent threat to human health and the public safety. Environmental Department shall notify within 24 hours. Details of all such incidents shall be included with the status report described in subsection 62, 780, 700 Florida Administration Codes. During implementation remedial action plan, person responsible site responsible code may propose justify some minimal assessment determining the cleaning target level pursuant to Rule 62, 780, 650. Modification of existing treatment of the recovery modification discontinuing requirements can outline with the remedial action status report pursuant to the subsection 62, 7800, 7812 Florida Administration Code. Initiative technologies pursuant to subsection 62, 7800, 7880, 706. The alternative technologies approach to discontinue each of the active remediation commencement of natural attention and monitoring of the proposal shall include the new natural attention with the monitoring parameters pursuant to section 6278694 for the administration code 15. The department shall provide the person responsible on site removal with the approval of the proposal to notify the person state with the site approval or rehabilitation written stating the response to the proposal does not contain the information adequate comply with the applicable requirements subsection 62780 714 Florida Administration Codes. 16. If the proposal is incomplete in respect of the deficiencies satisfy the applicable requirements of subsection 62780, 714, the Florida Administration of the proposed department shall inform the person responsible to state site immediate rehabilitation pursuant to the paragraph 62, 700, 715b of the Florida Administration Code. The person responsible to site rehabilitation shall submit the department for the review electronic paper the copy that provides the natural attenuation monitoring with the other proposal pursuant to paragraph 62, 700, 700. 78, 780, 714A through C, and address the deficiency within 60 days after this receipt. But if the deficiencies are not timely recorded, timely corrected, or not corrected, cannot be corrected. The person responsible to site responsible for rehabilitation should continue implementation and improve the remedial action plan within 30 days after the receipt. Active remediation shall be deemed complete with no further action. Criteria of subsection 62, 780, 680 of the 62, 78, 682, 62, 780, 683, 683 have been met and deemed complete with the national attenuation monitoring the criteria of the Rule 62, 780, 690 have been met. 18 for sites conducting active ground remediation. The site of the groundwater remediation site does not meet the no further action criteria subsection 62, 780, 681 Florida Administration Code. Natural attention monitoring criteria with the Rule 62, 780, 69, 690. The Florida Administration of the person responsible for site rehabilitation may submit the Department review electronic paper of the copy of the proposal to discontinue active groundwater remediation provided the following demonstration to analyze the permit. A contaminated soil has been properly removed, disposed of the treated suit so that the applicable soil, the cleanup target levels are met, addressed for the enhancement, implementation, and institutional control with both institutional energizing and controls. After a minimum of 1 year groundwater treatment concentration contaminants designated amount of walls, recovered the wells and have leveled off, the demonstration shall be based on subsequential monthly sample results were obtained with a minimum of 180 days unless alternate frequency has approved the remedial action pursuant to the section 62, 72, 700, leaving off the shall means the graphic contamination certificate concentration time versus time generating the curve fits a curve defined with the equation C equals CF plus CO equal A minus percent KT. Lower limit of the curve with the substantial linear of the slope of the final portion of the curve of the approach of the applicable statistical method should apply the demonstrated compliance with the preceding equation symbols confined in the files. C is the concentration applicable to containing at a time T, the CF the concentration representing the final concentration of the curve of the approach of this asymptotically. CO is the coefficient of concentration difference between the final concentration and the concentration at time 0. E is 2.718 based on natural logarithms. K is the coefficient representing exponential factor indicating how fast the concentration approaches. The coefficient representing final concentration of the curve approaches systematically. T is the time of the day is some fixed starting point. And C is an analysis of the demonstration has been made of 1. The technical feasibility to enhancement of the existing remediation system. The technical feasible other brown proving groundwater soil treatment techniques for the reduce the concentration applicable to contaminants at the site. The cost of the time frames involved with the further to reduce the concentration applicable to contamination and employing the alternative method to propose the effective designated potential use of water source for recontamination of existing concentration. The effects on and of any of the protecting that may be required for the surface water sources, resources effective to human life, public safety, and environmental contamination remaining existing concentration. 7. The extent of the potential further mitigation contaminated groundwater above the background concentration applicable control target levels, institutional control and both institutional engineering controls that may be necessary to ensure the public protection of the public the environmental feature of the contaminated groundwater. 19. If the demonstration pursuant to subsection 62, 780, 718 was completed, the person responsible for site rehabilitation to comply with the result of the demonstration analyst described in paragraph 62, 780, 718 A through C for the administration code. In report shall submit the electronic paper copy of the report to the Department of Review within the time frame of the table A of the cleanup agreement documentation. The department shall determine the criteria specified in paragraph 62, 780, 718 C of the Florida Administration Code modification remedial action plan required pursuant to To subsection 62, 780, 714, to the effect of the further treatment, however the alternative method are not required, although active remediation shall meet the deemed completed. Within no further action, subsection 62, 780, 681, the leveling off the criteria subsection 62, 78, 718 have been met. Electronic paper, the post-active remediation power plan, monitoring plan prepared pursuant to the post-active remediation monitoring criteria described in Rule 62, 780, 750 shall be submitted for the purpose of the person responsible for site rehabilitation for the Department of Review, unless the Department has concurred with the post-active remediation monitoring for the groundwater is unnecessary based on the site-specific condition. If the Department agrees with the groundwater sampling necessary for the site meets the no further action criteria for the subsection 62, 780, 680, but the site rehabilitation completion order shall be issued with reference to subsection 62, 780, 680, 7 Florida Administration Code. Rulemaking Authority 376303, 376307, 37630701, 37630784, 376814, 4030877, Florida State Law implemented 376307, 37630701, 37630784, 376881, 4030877, 7 History, Florida History News, April 17, 2005, amended June 12, 2013. And that's another half an hour.